Today we have a 2013 Subaru Forester. This one is the SJ category A, and it has the FB16 engine, naturally aspirated. And I'm at the airport. Very uncomfortable to work in public places, but sometimes we have to do this. This car came here fine. The client works at the airport. He drove here fine, and then he told me that he came after work in the evening, cranked it up, and it was a crank no start. He did say that on that day there were a couple of things that he noticed. The first thing was his AC panel went off. I don't know if that's related or not. And then he said that his driver's window started doing something funky. It would roll down while trying to pull it up. I'm not sure if those are related, and I'm not also sure whether it was the same day as it died or not. He wasn't very clear about that. But today we have crank no start. Now it has a cutout. Let me find it. Alright, so first things first, we have a check engine light, which is good, and the dashboard appears alive. Let's crank it. Oh, I think the battery is low. Let me put a jump pack on this. Alright, the jump pack is on. Let's try this again. Oh, do you hear that? That is not a healthy crank at all. Oh my god. Let's hear that again. Oh dear. Sounds to me that we have lost compression. Either that, or we have flooded in one or two cylinders. So the first thing I want to see is, what are we missing? Are we missing spark? Are we missing fuel? Let me get the wiring diagram and see where the engine computer is and take it from there. Now, just a quick word. The guy who owns this car, he's quite tech savvy. He's an engineer, and he knows his way around the electrical systems. And I can see he has opened the panel here, which is easy for me because I think the ECU is somewhere down here. And there's a relay block that's been pulled down. And on the seat, I see this. So this is a wiring diagram that he has gotten. Very nice. The only problem is, this is for a US model. The wiring diagrams that are available online for these cars are for US models. Japanese cars and Euro cars, you don't get their wiring diagrams easily online. So that is the thing that is a caution. Be careful downloading Subaru wiring diagrams when trying to use them. You will chase your tail around. These are not the correct ones. So let me get my laptop and let's get the proper wiring diagram for this car and proceed. Alright, here we are in the correct wiring diagram. Let's go to our engine electrical system. Gasoline engine. This is a non-turbo model, and we do not have push start, and we don't have auto start stop. That's that one. Okay. So what I want to do is to look for my injectors and my coils. Same standard procedure that I use on all my no starts. Quickly finding out what I'm missing. So here are my injectors, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have a bulkhead, B21. And that is pin 54, 53, 52, and 51. So we're going to loop all these in a current clamp, and then let's look for our ignition coils. So here we have ignition coil 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see how we can easily get this. So we have a common power supply, and that is also on the bulkhead B21, and that's pin 49. So we're going to loop that into a second current clamp. So those two first, I just want to see whether I have coil control and I have injector control. Then I will decide where to go next after that. So let me quickly set up my scope. All right, finished my connections. There is my coil, and that is on the power supply for all the coils, and my injector wires, I have looped them all into this second one, channel A and channel B, and they are all down here, the hardest ones to get to, but at least this was stripped back, so it wasn't too bad. All right, let's go to the picoscope. All right, we're back in the car. Picoscope is set up. Let's roll it, and let's crank. And let's stop. Let's see what we have. And right off the bat, what do we see? We have no coil current. We have injector control. So from this, I am going to conclude that we do not have a problem with compression. We are spraying fuel, but we are not igniting it. So let's see why we don't have coil control. What I want to do is go back to our wiring diagram here. I want to find out, do we not have any control from the ECM, or do we have a power supply issue to the ignition coils? Pretty simple. What I'm going to do is to probe both this, and I'm going to probe coil number 1 here, control line. So the power supply on channel 3 and the coil control line on channel 4, and we're going to retake this capture. That'll tell me whether we have power and whether we have control. If we have power and control, the next thing to come and interrogate is this ground here. So power supply interrogation coming up next. All right, so channel 3, we have down here on the green the coil power line probed for voltage, and channel 4 the coil number 1 control for voltage. And let's go back to the scope and see what we have. Okay, we're probed. Let's start the picoscope and put the key on. And this has a cutout, so let me find the switch. There we go. And boom, what do you see? We don't have any voltage on the green, but we have control. Beautiful. Let's stop that and let's analyze it. We do have control on the coil. We have injectors. We do not have voltage on those coils. Guys, how fast is that? It has taken me 15 minutes. Most of it was setting up the scope right there, but it has taken me literally 15 minutes to find out that our problem is we are missing a power supply on the coils. Let this be a lesson. Just because you hear an engine crank funny doesn't always mean that it has no compression. In this case, we do have injection, so we have flooded those cylinders with a lot of fuel, and that is why we do not have good compression. Now let's see where these coils get their power supply from, and let's interrogate that. So where does this power supply come from? It comes from this sky blue wire, and that is on D. Let's find D. It's all the way up here. That's D. Comes from the IG relay, and it gets its power supply from that 15 amp fuse in fuse panel 550 fuse holder, from the fuse holder. So let's go to the fuse holder and see if that fuse is hot, and if it is, we're going to go to the relay. All right, this fuse holder is here. Now there is the fuse block and the fuse holder. This is the block, this is the holder. There is no designation on the manual for where these fuses are, so what we're going to do is to just check them one by one. So that's the first one, second one, third one, then the fourth one. Oh, I need to put my key on for this one. All right, key is on. Let's proceed from the fourth one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is here, and the fifth, and then the 30 amp fuse, the last one, is there. So all these fuses are good. Now we come to the IG relay, and it is this stack that's conveniently been dropped for me down there. So there's my relay holder. That's my IG relay. I do not want to pull it out. I want to conveniently do a test here. Now from the wiring diagram, we have got two large gauge green wires, and that's supposed to have a power in from the fuse, and it's this one here and this one here. So we have no power coming from the fuse. Now let me just check my test light. Do we have any power coming? Yeah, so we have power there. So my test light is working. Check this out. We do not have any power coming from that fuse holder. So this is a power supply problem to our relay. So that's confirmed. So what I want to do is to just come here and give a power supply to this pin directly from battery positive, because that's where it's coming from, and then I want to start this car and see if we're going to run. All right, I got power supply over here, and it is fused, so it's running through a 15 amp fuse, and it's going directly to my IG relay power supply. Okay, let's hook up the picoscope again and let's try and start this car. Okay, here's the moment of truth. We are connected there. Let's put the key on, and let me engage the cutout. There we have coil power. Now this car should start. Oh yeah, very nice. There we are running. Let me pause and switch that off. Let me go back here just a second. I want to make sure that all these coils are pulling a healthy amperage, which it looks like they are, and my coil current clamp is upside down. Let me go put it the right way up, and then I will retake this capture. Okay, I've reset my current clamp. Let's try that again. Key on, and let's start it. And that is beautiful. So there was nothing wrong with the compression. What we were hearing was simply too much fuel in the cylinders. That'll clear out and this thing should run properly. It's nice and smooth. Look at the tack, smooth as glass. Okay, so let this warm up and charge the battery a bit while we come here. Let's pause that and let's take a look at what we have here. Alright, it looks like we have nice healthy coil current ramps. This is what, 11.3 amps. Man, that's high. Wow, these Subaru coils are quite hungry. And for the injectors we have 1 amp a piece. Hey, that's also high. Wow. And we've got good control. And let me see, yeah, we've got consistent spark output throughout. Let's see. And I'm just checking from the pattern here, the interference pattern. You can tell when coils are going out by looking at that interference pattern and how consistent it is. You see, that's very consistent. And let's look at the last one. And of course your sampling rate has to be high enough for you to make this kind of decision. I'm sampling at 840 nanoseconds. If you're using a low sampling rate, you'll not be able to see some of this stuff. Okay, I think we are done here. So this guy is a DIYer. I will not repair that. My job was just to diagnose. I'll just tell him he has a discontinuity between his power supply there and the fuse holder here. I'll give him the wire ID and it'll be up to him to figure that out. Meanwhile, I'll just tell him to jumper the power supply right there. These coils are all good, so I'm not worried about a coil shorting out. So he can just jumper this thing and get this car home. It has been sitting here for 4 days waiting for me. I was busy, I couldn't come. But we've succeeded. That's it. Very good diagnosis. We found the problem, no parts required. All he'll have to do is to change or to repair his wiring. And if he tells me to repair it, I'll tell you to come along. But if I'm to repair this, to be honest, we may have to remove the dash because this wire goes up there and loops backwards this side. And that's going to be hours of labor. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather do diagnosis than labor, but hey, if he wants to pay me, what, 10-15 hours to do this thing, I don't mind. I'll do it. We make money, right? That's our job. 2013 Subaru Forester with no power to the ignition coil because of a broken line from the relay holder to the fuse. Another one for the books. Until next time.